I started getting more and more involved with the art scene on the Lower East Side, and I started to see theater not so much as a career, but as a way of life, really. A way in which I could I could express myself politically, because I was very much against the war at the time. And also at that time, a lot of what was happening in theater in the Lower East Side of New York, the early days of off Broadway, were lots of Eastern influences were coming into the work. The whole idea of emptying out rather than just adding on. We were doing yoga, we were doing all kinds of exercises related to expanding the consciousness. Um, Wanting to produce and be part of a creative process that really had some meaning for us, that had some kind of purposefulness.
There was this downtown group of people in New York, and doing these kind of new kind of theater, the open theater, the living theater, and the performance group, Richard Schiffner. Because this downtown group had a real bonding kind of thing. We're hippies, we're radicals, and he's coming from Uptown, the jewelry company, you know, and that he's quitting, but he's still there, you know, so he's leading a business life during the day, which none of us were. You know, we were anti-capitalist.
This one day I was in the factory, and my uncle decided to be authoritative, and he came into the factory and he came over to me and he said, "You know, you're wasting time. Get in the office. You have work to do. Get in the office." So I said, "Okay." And here I was. And as I started to walk, my uncle stayed behind me because he wanted to make sure that I didn't turn around and go back the other way. So he was walking behind me to make sure I got in the office, and I started to walk in slow motion, which is something we'd been practicing a lot in some of the theater exercises. And here I was with my hands like this, my uncle behind me, and as I'm walking down the aisles, flanked on either side by women who are working with these machines, and I know each one personally, and I stop at each bench, and I just look at them. I look them straight in the eye, and they don't even want to look at me, but I won't move until they look at me. So here I am like this, here's my uncle behind me, they look up, and I give them some acknowledgement and I move on to the next one. Meanwhile, I can almost feel this heat behind me. And I just keep walking. I go, stop at the next one, look at her, wait for her to look at me. She looks at me, smile, next one. It probably takes about 20 minutes before I finally get to the office. And by the time we get to the office, and I've done this number with maybe 10, 15 women already, my uncle collapsed at a desk like he's having a heart attack, and he's banging on the desk, and he's banging on the desk, and he's just ranting and raving, and he's saying, "What did you do? What did you do? What did you do? What did you do? What did you do?" And the secretary in the office is running and getting him water, and someone else is doing this. And my father comes running in, and he says, like, "What's going on here? What's going on? What happened?" And my uncle says, "You don't know what he did. You don't know what he did." And my father said, "Well, what did you do?" I said, "Well, I was in the factory and I was talking to so-and-so, and he came in and he said, 'Get in the office.' And I said, 'Okay, I'll get in the office.' And so this is what I did. And I came into the office." And my father looked at my uncle and he said, "Is that what he did?" My uncle said, "That's what he did. That's what he did. That's what he did."